Hi. So for today's class, once again, it is helpful to have the long edge of the mat facing towards the screen if the space allows, but it's not mandatory. It will also be really helpful too to have a block or book or anything that can bring the ground closer to you. And if you want to put it first on the left side or behind you so that it's farther away from the screen, that will be helpful. Not mandatory. You can use a pillow, like a firm pillow, really box, anything. It is physically possible to do it without the block, but the block is more handy. So welcome. Today's class is going to involve some movement and some balance. So I thought that we could start in a seated position, facing the screen and the long edge of the mat. And to begin, we'll simply take a minute to turn to the breath and arrive in the space.
Guess you can't really see me.
Oh, I can see you.
Okay.
I can see from here up.
I mean, you can't see what I'm doing, but
I'll do my best.
I can't really do most things anyways, but I'll try.
That's all we ask for. To begin, bring your foot a little bit closer to your body and feel free to readjust how you're sitting. You can start to massage the bottom of your feet. Yeah, that's perfect. I can see everything now. Good. Sometimes it's helpful too to sit up on a pillow or block to give ourselves some more mobility and accessing the feet. But we're going to start doing a gentle foot massage. I know some people don't like to touch their feet, so if that's you on the video, feel free to put on some socks, or you can, gently roll your foot against the mat. I love a good foot massage. So you'll just kind of gently knead out the foot. Progress to the heel. Notice the cushion of tissue there. And you can experiment with deeper pressures and also lighter pressures too, where you're just gently grazing the foot, noticing how that kind of wakes up our sensation. And this is really helpful, I find, for balancing poses. I planned this whole balancing class, but I don't know what's going on with me today. I have been all over the place with balance. I don't know if I have some sort of inner ear thing going on, but it'll be fun to try. Excellent. I then like to take my hand and just place it over the feet. Feel that transfer of warmth happening. And then gently kind of squeeze up the calf, release any tension that's happening there. Excellent. We'll now switch to the opposite side. I like to try and switch without using my hands. You can try that, or move however is good for your body. Great. Start the same thing with the opposite foot. Doesn't really matter which foot you did first. Really just exploring the foot, finding any areas of tension, and then varying the amount of pressure. Good. We'll now grab the feet to feel that transfer of warmth. And then gently massage up the calf, feeling that release of muscle. Nice. Perfect. So now we can come to any comfortable cross-legged position. More than welcome to continue to sit on a block or pillow to raise the hips if that makes it a bit easier. We'll inhale our left arm up and then reach up and over. Perfect. Good. Press a little bit into that opposite right hand that's in the mat and then flip on over to the other side. Great. Let's flip over one more time. And now we're going to experiment with turning our eyes and our breastbone down towards the mat, slowly dropping that top left arm and walking the palms in front of you to feel a bit of a stretch in the hips. Nice. And then walking over now to the left side and reaching up and over with that right arm. So you can really kind of feel that motion of the torso. Yeah, really well done. And on your next exhale, feel the body slowly deflate. Turn the heart towards the mat. And starting with the right palm, walk over to the other side. You can proceed at your own time, moving with your own breath. And then I like to inhale to really rotate my chest up and over. It's a nice way to activate some of the core muscles that will stabilize us later. Perfect. Let's take a minute to return to neutral. And now let's get a bit of mobility in the neck and shoulders, since so many of us spend a lot of time like hunched over a desk. We'll start to slowly draw circles with the nose in front of you. You can imagine you're drawing a circle the size of a tea saucer. Welcome any snaps, crackles, and pops in the neck. You can slowly progress out to maybe salad plate size. And then you can imagine going to dinner plate size. If there's any spot that feels particularly sticky or is crackling, you can stay there and nod the head up and down. You're more than welcome to close your eyes on this one. And once you feel like you've got a good amount of fluidity and mobility in the neck, let's return to neutral. And we'll do the same thing in the opposite direction. So starting with our small circles, slowly progressing out to larger ones. And reconnecting with the breath, imagining that the breath is smoothing out any tension that's developing in the neck. Excellent. After one or two more breaths, you can slowly return to a neutral position. We'll gently tilt our head towards the right, reach out with the left arm. You can tilt the fingertips up ever so slightly and feel that stretch happening through the left side of the neck. Really take deep breaths here, being hyper conscious of any tension that's happening in the neck. We'll be here for 2 more breaths. Great, we'll return to neutral. Same thing next side. Tilt the head over towards the left, reach out with the right arm, can tilt the fingertips up even. And notice how the breath enhances the sensation of lengthening through that right side of the neck. One more breath. And let's return to neutral. You can do 1 or 2 more circles in either direction, just to notice any sensation of freedom or stickiness that's still remaining in the neck. Great. From here, we're going to place our feet onto the mat in front of us, or onto the floor in front of us, probably off of the mat, so that the knees are bent. Doesn't really matter how close or far they are. You can find a position that works for you. And we'll hold our arms up to the sides. We're going to experiment with a few twists. Now let's allow the legs to fall to the side, bringing your right foot on top of your left thigh. Yeah, if they don't go all the way, that's totally fine. You can kind of tilt to whatever angle is correct. And then we'll tilt our body towards the back of the mat, so turning away from the screen. Great. Let's start to roll over onto the opposite sides of our feet, planting the legs in the opposite direction and then turning towards the back of the mat. You can repeat this a few times on your own breath. If there's one spot that feels good, you can hang out there. Or I like to inhale as I twist, stay here for a full inhale, exhale cycle. Exhale to move the legs. Inhale to twist. It's natural if you shift off the mat a little bit. Feel free to readjust if you don't like where your body is moving. We'll take a minute to even out the sides, and let's turn so that our right arm is towards this screen, if that's possible. Great. From here, we should be in a decent position where we can plant our palms and come to a tabletop position. You might need to readjust onto the mat. Great, looking good. We're going to stop with the palms underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and we'll simply move through a few cat-cow positions. So inhale for cow, dropping the belly, pulling the heart forward, feeling the front of the body lengthening, and then exhale, tuck under the pelvis, round the spine, and allow the head to hang. Let's flow through these two movements on your own time with your own breath. Inhaling to cow, exhaling to curve the spine upwards into cat. Good, good. I like how you're moving nice and slowly and consciously. After your next set of breaths, let's pause in neutral. Option to keep doing the cat-cows that we just did, but if you'd like to add on and experiment a little bit more, on your next inhale, you can reach out with your right arm and left leg, so opposite sides, really feeling that length. And then exhale to bring the elbow towards the knee, rounding the spine, just like in cat. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to round. And you can absolutely play with your traditional cat-cow. Great. Do not rush getting here, but the next time you are lengthened with your arm and leg out, pause there. Option 2, bend through that left leg and reach back with the right arm, seeing if you can make contact with the ankle. Totally okay if not. If you're not making contact, you can still get all the benefits of this pose by really shining your heart forward, dropping your belly, just like in cow. If you do make contact, same motion. We'll pause here for a breath or two, really feeling that lengthening, especially over the front of the body. Great. Let's inhale to lengthen, and then exhale to plant our palm and knee. We'll do one regular cat-cow round to reset on your own time. Great. So we'll do the same thing next side. Again, option to stay in your regular cat-cow. Reach out with your left arm, reach out with your right leg. Inhale to lengthen, and then exhale to bring the knee towards the elbow, rounding the spine. Inhale to lengthen, exhale to round. And play with those movements on your own time. It's totally optional, but if the knee and the elbow do make contact, I like to kind of press them in towards each other. It activates the deep core in a very natural way. And the next time you're inhaled and lengthened, we'll pause there. Opportunity to play with that same movement. If you bend your right knee, reach back with your left arm. If they make contact, great. If they don't, also great. Just inhale to lengthen through the front of the body. Making sure we're not getting any uncomfortable crunching in the low back. If so, just return to your regular lengthened posture. Great. Inhale to lengthen, reach out with the arm, back with the leg. And then let's place the palm down, knee down. Let's do one last round of your regular cat-cow. Great. And now let's put the bum onto the heels, reaching back with our arms, coming into a Balasana, child's pose. Great. You can give the wrists a little bit of a circle if they've developed any tension. From here, I invite you to experiment and see if you can allow the hands to grasp behind the back. If they make contact, great. If not,
no problem at all. Just reach back with the arms. We're going to come into Shastasana or rabbit pose. In order to do this, we're going to press into the legs and put a little bit of weight onto the crown of the head. Literally, you can see how light and bouncy my head is. I'm not ramming my head into the mat. Maybe just 5% of your weight in your head, 95% in the legs. And then see if you can reach upwards, right directly towards the ceiling with your arms. Great, they can be clasped or they can just be reaching side by side. You'll get the same benefits either way. If the arms are clasped, see if you can bring the palms closer together. These are the rabbit ears. And in this pose, I like to tune into the breath and notice how the inhale especially really lengthens the front of that chest. It counteracts all the rounding of the shoulders that we have. It's a little bit of an inversion, so we're getting some blood rushing to the head. Kind of nice sensation. And on your next exhale, let's slowly release the hips back onto the heels. Allow the arms to fall down to the sides once again. Backs of the hands on the mat. We'll play with that pose one more time. Take a minute to reset mentally and physically. And this time you can reach back and see if your opposite thumb can grasp on top behind your back. It's nice to mix it up a little bit. Subtly activate different muscles. When you're ready, you can press into the legs, roll very lightly onto the crown of the head, and reach up towards the ceiling with your rabbit ears. Good. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, they don't need to be fully 90 degrees towards the ceiling. Really lengthening in any direction is still beneficial to get that sensation of opening across the chest. We'll be here for 2 more breaths. Whenever you're ready, let's sit the bum back onto the heels. Arms fall to the sides, pausing in child's pose or balasana. Taking a breath. Let's now start to press into our knees and slowly rise so that our hips are coming above our knees. I know we're spending a fair amount of time on the knees. This is a good opportunity if you want to roll over your mat or get any blankets to pad them. Please do feel free to take a moment to do so. We will eventually all arrive together in a kneeling position. Taking a minute to do a little ab crunch and see how it can bring the pelvis into alignment. We want to make sure we're finding a good balance between not crunching so hard that our pelvis is totally tucked under, but not leaving any ab engagement so that our bum's out like this. Take a minute to play between those extremes and find a spot where you feel a little bit of engagement on the back and on the front. Sometimes it's helpful to put a hand on either side so you can really make sure that pelvis is in a neutral position. Great. So there's 2 ways to move into this next pose. I'll demonstrate the first one and then the second option. One is to shift your weight to your left leg, step forward with your right. It does take a bit of balance. It looks deceptively easy. If that's a bit tricky, good opportunity to take the block, use it for some support as you get there. You can also bring your fingertips down and then slowly rise up as we meet into a low Anjaneyasana position. So take your time, but however you have your right leg forward, great. From here, let's imagine we're squeezing the legs together for stability, and we'll reach up and back, coming into a crescent lunge, connecting with the breath to feel the opening of the front of that left hip. From here, let's reach back with our right arm, forward with our left arm, and see if we can twist towards the screen or towards that bent leg. Good. You can imagine reaching a little bit further back, like you're trying to plant your right shoulder blade onto the wall, making sure we're still committing to that bend in the front knee. Excellent. And really connecting with the breath. From here, this is where it's useful to have a block. We're we're going to lengthen through that front leg and tilt down to plant our left palm or fingertips on the mat or perhaps on a block. We're totally okay to leave a bit of a micro bend in that right knee. It's much better than totally locking out the joint. Good. Perfect. We'll hang out here for a few breaths, feeling the lengthening the hamstrings. When you're ready, on your next inhale, you can reach back and up with that right arm, bend through that front knee to return to the Anjaneyasana. So let's play between those three poses on your own time. Inhaling to lengthen, maybe pausing here for a breath cycle. Exhaling to twist. And then I like to exhale as I tilt forward, lengthen through that front leg into this side twist. Proceed through that cycle one more time. Inhale to your low crescent lunge. Exhale to twist. Exhale to tilt it down. Great. Wherever you're at, let's plant the palms in front of that right foot or beside that right foot, bending into the right knee. We'll tuck under the left toes to give that knee a break and press up into a low lunge. I like to rock back and forth to really massage through the plantar fascia of the foot. And when you're ready, you can step back into a plank pose, either on the toes or on the knees. Totally fine to choose either option. You can take your time getting there. Let's all make sure any blocks are out of the way. We'll shift our weight forward and either from knees or toes, come all the way down onto the mat. Untuck the back toes. Inhale to feel the front of the body lengthening as you rise up into a mini cobra or Bhujangasana pose. Feel the back muscles strengthening. And on your next exhale, slowly with control, lower down onto the mat. We're going to return to a tabletop position, so press up through the arms, come onto the knees, and from here you can slowly drag your palms towards your knees as you return to a kneeling position. Great, nice slow movements. We're going to do the same thing on the next side, so you can take your block or book or brick or whatnot and move it to the opposite side so that it's on the right towards the screen. You can shift your weight to your right leg and step forward with the left leg. Again, different options. You can use the block for some support if that balance is kind of a challenge. Great. From here, let's inhale to scoop the air up. Really feel the front of that right hip lengthening. Reach back actively with the arms. Enjoy a cycle of breath here. And now let's twist away from the screen. So reaching back with the left arm, forward with the right arm, making sure we're still committed to the bend in that front leg. And enjoying a cycle of breath here, feeling how this is actually a decent amount of work for the core. On your next exhale, lengthen through that front left leg, tilt the body down, and allow that right hand to make contact with the mat, the right fingertips, or maybe a block. At the same time, we're going to twist towards that left leg, really reaching back with that left shoulder blade. Imagining that we're going to rest against a wall. Should be able to feel this throughout the hip and the hamstrings on the left body. Really conscious of the connection between the hips and the shoulders. Great. When you're ready, on your next inhale, let's swoop up and down with that left arm, scooping up the air into Anjaneyasana. So feel free to ignore me and play at your own speed between these poses. Inhaling in your lunge. Exhaling to twist. And then exhaling to tilt it all forward. I'll be silent so that you can move on your own time with your own breath. Perfect. Take your time getting here, but let's all meet in our low lunge. We'll paint a wall in front of us, plant our palms on either side of that front left foot. Option to stay on that back knee or tuck under the back toes and step back into a plank position, either on the toes or on the knees. We'll pause here, taking a moment to feel our strength. And then let's shift the weight forward, bend the elbows, and come all the way down onto the belly. Untuck the back toes, inhale to cobra. Exhale to let it all down. Excellent. From here, you can pause with your forehead on the mat, rock it back and forth a little bit. And now let's press back so that our feet come together, knees apart, coming into a wide-legged child's pose or Bhaktasana. Returning to the breath. This is a great opportunity to get a little bit of water, take a little bit of a break, maybe even come up off the knees if you would like. Ooh, my water is all the way over here. All right. So we're going to do the same sequence again. Option to do everything on the knees, but I'm going to demonstrate what it would look like to do it elevated, so from a standing position. So it will require a bit of balance, totally okay to ignore me and repeat the sequence on the knees. And this is a good opportunity if we do decide to be on the knees more to get a blanket or extra padding. I find even with a nice cushy mat, it can still be a lot of time on the knees. So without further ado, let's plant our palms maybe a little bit further than our shoulders, tuck under the back toes, and we'll press up and back to a downward facing dog. You can pedal out the feet. I can do a quick demo of what it would look like. Oh, perfect, yeah. Or you can join me in downward dog directly. That's great. First downward dog of the practice, we're really pressing out of the palms, scooping the low back in, bending the knees, and then allowing the heels to drop towards the mat. From here, I invite you to shift your weight to your left foot and raise your left heel. It doesn't need to be all the way up in a three-legged dog, maybe just a few inches off the mat. Feel your core strengthening to support you. Bend the knee, shift the weight forward, and then plant the foot between the palms. Totally okay if you need to use your legs to help get it there, or your arms to help get it there. We'll take a minute to meet in our low lunge with our right foot forward, left foot back. We'll squeeze the legs together for stability. Feel yourself getting light in the palms and see if it's possible to rise on up into a high Anjaneyasana or crescent lunge. Perfect, good, take your time. Good, yeah. Doing a shorter stance can be good for balance. Bending a little bit more into the back knee as well too can be helpful. We'll reach up and back just like we did from the knees. And once you feel fairly stable here, on your next exhale, let's reach back with the right arm, forward with the left arm to arrive in a twist. You can look back towards that right hand to really involve the entire spine from the crown of the head to your seat. I notice I'm leaning forward a little bit. It's a good opportunity to really reach back as long as you're not feeling any crunching in that low back. Good. Now from here, we're going to actually bend into our front leg. You can grab your block. Probably good to start with it on the highest setting and reach up with the right arm. So we've basically taken our block and just shifted our body forward on the twist. Good. If this isn't working, no problem at all. You can continue to stay in this twist position. You can work on even strengthening that front leg and reaching forward. Find what's working for your body today. Optional, if you're feeling super stable here, you can maybe feel yourself getting a little light in that back foot. You can even bounce up and down a few times to raise it on up. You might need to walk out your block a little bit further in front. And this is for a supported, rotated half moon. Parivrtta Ardha Chandrasana. Good. Wherever you're at, let's now windmill that top arm down, frame our front foot, and step back into a plank position. You can take your time if you'd like to meet us in plank, either on the knees or on the toes, and we'll repeat this flow. You can shift the weight forward, bending through the elbows, this time option to come all the way down or press up into an upward facing dog with the thighs off the ground. Knowing that cobra is just as good, will get you all the same benefits. Let's press through the palms on the next exhale, coming back to our downward facing dog. Great. Feel free to take a break anytime. Feel free to grab some water, or if you're hanging out with me in down dog, you can pedal up the feet, really shining some light on the different aspects of the hamstrings. So we'll do that same thing next side. This time we'll shift the weight to the right leg, raise the left foot off the mat, and then bend through that left knee, shift the weight forward, just like how we practiced before in our tabletop position. And let's step that left leg between the palms. Totally okay to take some time to get here. And we'll meet in our low lunge position, maybe rocking back and forth. If you're feeling not too stable, you can shorten your stance a little bit. Squeeze the legs together for stability. Feel yourself getting light in the palms. Good. And then rising on up. Reach back actively with the arms. Bring a little bit of, I want to say, a mini crunch to the abs, so that way your bum's not all the way out back here. It'll really enhance the opening through the front of that right leg. On your next exhale, reach back with the left arm, forward with the right. You can look back towards the left arm, or perhaps pick a drishti or focus point on the ground near you. That can help to keep you balanced. Pause here, and then on your next exhale, let's continue to bend through that front leg. Take your block and place your right hand down, left arm up, coming into a supported twist. You can hang out here. You can even just plant your palm right onto the mat to come into a more traditional twist. Or if you are feeling fairly stable, let's bounce throughout that back foot. Maybe catch a little bit of air time and rise on up into a rotated half moon. It's also a possibility too, if you are feeling quite stable, feeling focused on your point, you can float that palm away from the block and see if you can balance in your rotated half moon. Wherever you're at, let's rotate that left arm down, frame the front foot, land with the back foot. Good. And we can now all take a turn to step back into plank pose, either on the knees or on the toes. We'll be here for 3, 2, 1. Great. Shift forward, bend through the elbows, either coming all the way down or halfway, pressing on up to cobra or upward facing dog on the inhale, and then exhaling up and back to your downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet here. We're going to take a bit of a break in 3, 2, 1. Great. Let's lower the knees to the mat. You can sit back onto the heels and rotate out the wrists. Feel free to grab some water, do anything else that your body's craving. I'll do a quick time check. Perfect. So we have a few more minutes left. There is the option to proceed through that standing sequence fast and with balance, so without the blocks. Of course, it's totally optional if you're like, there's no way. No, totally fine. Feel free to repeat the sequence we did on the knees or to continue using the blocks. Of course, it's your practice, so feel free to do whatever you'd like and ignore me entirely. But if you're with me, we'll do one more final push of heat and then we'll have a nice Shavasana after. So let's tuck under the toes, walk the palms out, press up and back to downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg up, bend through the right knee, shift the weight forward, step the right foot between the palms. Inhale and scoop up the air to your Anjaneyasana. Exhale to twist. Reach forward with your body, bend into the back leg. You can step it up a little bit. Maybe start to see if you can float into your rotated half moon position. We'll pause here for 3, 2, 1. Windmill down that right arm. Plant the back foot. Step back into plank. A good opportunity to join wherever you're at. Shift the weight forward. Bend through the elbows. Inhale up. And exhale back. We'll try that same thing next side, and then we will chill. Shift the weight to the right leg. Lift the left foot a few inches off the mat. Bend through the knee. Shift the weight forward. Plant the left foot. Scoop up the air to reach up and back. Feel free to readjust your stance so you can feel maximally stable. Rotate left arm back, right arm forward. And then notice if you bend into that front knee more, tilt your weight forward, maybe walk your right foot up a little bit closer to the left, catch some air time and see if you can float. Totally okay if not, you've got the blocks right there if needed. We'll be here for 3, 2, 1. Windmill down that left arm. Frame the foot. Plant the back foot. Step back to our final plank of the practice. I'll pause here for a bit so folks can join if they like. Let's be here for 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Shift the weight forward. Bend through the elbows. Press on up to cobra or upward dog. And then press up and back to our final downward facing dog. Excellent, you did it. Congratulations. From here, let's now allow our knees to fall towards the mat. And very simply, we're going to just come onto our backs. Allow your body to sink towards the mat in whatever way is most natural for you. When you arrive, feel free to take a minute to enjoy any other poses your body's craving. Maybe you can windshield wiper the legs side to side, or pause for a full twist. A good opportunity to give any release to the low back. You might find yourself craving an Upasana maneuver, bringing the knees into the chest, rolling back and forth to get a nice little low back massage. But I invite you to really close your eyes and tune in to whatever your own body is craving. We'll be here for 3 more breaths. I'm going to go into a happy baby pose, reaching between the knees to grab the outer aspects of the feet, really stamping my low back down onto the mat. Great. Let's allow the arms to flop out to the sides, palms facing up, legs to return to the earth, feet might flop out to the sides a little. And take a minute to arrive in your final Shavasana pose. Feel free to gather any props that are useful to you. If you like to have a blanket over top or maybe a little pillow below your head. Don't be afraid to really take ownership over this pose and make it your own. Return to the breath. And without judgment, notice if it seems fast, slow, shallow, or deep. And just try to accept it for where it's at.
See if you can allow it to settle without actively changing anything. Feel your body passively expand on the inhale, and imagine it sinking deeper into the mat on the exhale. We'll pause here in Shavasana, and I'll keep an eye on the clock to cue you out when time is ready. Start to invite some gentle movement into your fingers and toes. Maybe rock your head side to side. Rotate through the wrists and ankles, feeling the momentum of that movement travel throughout your body like a stone dropped in a pond. On your next inhale, bring your arms up overhead, lengthen out with your legs, and really feel that full body stretch, take up space, and exhale to let it all go. Do that one more time. Inhale to lengthen, feel the strength you've cultivated, and exhale to melt. Roll over onto your side to face towards the screen. You can use your palms to press you on up to a comfortable seated position. You can even leave your eyes closed as you do so if you would like. Once you arrive in your seat, take a minute to notice how you feel. If the eyes are closed, feel free to flutter them open. Thank you very much for spending time and doing some yoga with me today.